Hi, I'm Joe Peoples. Today, I want to talk to you about the one thing you should never do if you want to build a prosperous and profitable business. You know what it is? Don't quit. Why am I bringing this up? Of course you won't quit. The other day, I'm watching a video and it was by, I think, a speaker everyone knows, Les Brown. And why Les Brown stands out for me was he was one of the first motivational speakers I'd ever seen. And in his talk, he's telling a story about as a child, he was identified with like a learning disability. I mean, his story is way more dynamic. Born on the floor, him and his twin brother in an abandoned building. I mean, this man is amazing at storytelling. But what really connected me with that story was being identified with a learning disability. Because that was an experience that I had. When my parents were going through a divorce when I was a kid, I had some behavioral issues that showed up in school. I was basically a huge disruption. And so they identified me with a behavioral problem. Sounds simple, but this is the 70s and there were no rules about bullying, name calling, and making you feel awful. And when things like that happen, you can have a different image of yourself. I think Les Brown tells that same story of being identified with a learning disability. He almost bought into that idea until one day someone came into his life and let him know that he did not have to have that narrative. And I just think about the parallel for myself, going through that label as being learning disabled through middle school, elementary school, and high school, that can impact you. But the whole point is, if you want to accomplish anything, you can't quit. And quitting for your business or your life happens when you just allow the events in your day to decide what you're going to do. So the idea, the first thing to do if you're going to build or accomplish anything is you can't quit. And, quitting will disguise itself in lots of ways. So I use the metaphor of being identified or labeled as something less than, but it can also just be you accepting the market conditions or some setback or some requirement that you perform differently as a reason not to pursue what you want. Now, I've had 2 other videos talking about the consumers expect you to be an expert. And why this idea of not quitting connects to this expert piece is that to become an expert, you just have to make a decision to do it, independent of whatever the circumstances are around you. Because the idea of persistent trying and effort is the only way you have a chance to have a prosperous business or have a chance to create what you want. So I have an email that's going to come out with an article with more details about not quitting. But what I want to leave you with the idea is that it's the number one thing to do. Do not quit. Stay in the game. Be with yourself. Define something you want and just pursue it independent of the results. I'm going to ask that they attach that letter to the bottom so you can go over the other 6 pieces to not quitting. But the whole point is stay in the game.